Number 3, first Kingdom Hearts game. The second one was great, but I really liked this one. I mean, maybe I just hate sequels. I don't know. But I also felt that the second one was way too easy. Like, ridiculously easy. It was longer, I think. Pretty sure. But also the second game had a few more bad levels, in my opinion. I really hated, like, any Pirates of the Caribbean level. They put Atlantica back in, and if you're gonna put Atlantica back in, I understand you're not, like, you take out the Heartless. It's the only reason we go to that world, just to, kill more Heartless. But no, it's just, of course I beat all those levels, because I wanted the ultimate weapon. But the first game I really liked a lot more. It's the one I played before I had played any Final Fantasy game. It was actually one of the first PS2 games I played that was actually hard. I got this back when I was like in 6th grade, and I sucked at it, like, unbelievably. It was a pain. I think I could never get past Monstro for the longest time, because, I mean, Monstro is just a freaking maze. But it was a really fun game. I loved, the second game was there to clear up a lot of the story, and I loved that. It was great. I want to know what was happening, but the first game, it told you stuff, but it left more questions than answers, and in that sort of mysterious sense, I think that's why I really liked it more. The whole light and dark thing was just really, really good. I loved the Ansem reports that you were finding. I loved reading those. It was just a lot of fun, and I think the one thing I haven't done in that game, the only thing, is beating Sephiroth, and I should really go back and do that, but I know I'm not a high enough level, and I really don't want to grind. But it was still a really fun game, one of my favorites, near and dear to my heart. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. I played the 4 Metal Gear Solid games. I love every single one of them. 3 and 4, more so. 4, I really was considering putting on this list, but I've only beaten it very recently. Like, I've only owned a PS3 since September, and I have a good amount of games where I've beaten Metal Gear Solid 4 multiple times since I got it, but I really, I think I need to let it just, I think I need to experience a game and let it sit for a long time, then come back to it before I can start calling it my favorite game. Just trying to be a little fair. But Snake Eater was great. It was for the PS3. It had one of the best storylines in any Metal Gear Solid game. It had, like, some of the funnest characters, some of the funniest moments, where the game can be funny, just, like, it can just decide, I'm going to have a funny scene now, and then something happens, and then it's funny. It's just, I know that sounds kind of dumb, the way I'm explaining it, but it was a really fun game. It was he was the best Snake, in my opinion. I like the normal Solid Snake from 1, 2, and 4, but in this one you're Naked Snake, and then you become Big Boss. Honestly, Big Boss is the essence of manliness. You don't believe me? Go play the game. Go beat the game. It's just incredible. It did make the storyline a little more confusing, but it actually answered a lot of stuff for me. Like, a prequel is supposed to do that. It's supposed to answer, well, how did this happen? And it opened up a lot of more questions, but that was fine, because we knew that another game was coming on the way. And we had a lot of faith in Konami to answer all the questions of the 4th game, which it did really well. But this game is the one I played the most. I play like every Metal Gear Solid game multiple times to try and beat it on every difficulty. I think before I got 4, which I haven't gone back to it since I got 4, I should really load that sucker up. I think I beat the 3rd game 9 times. 9. I know that's messed up, but it's 9. I hope that can speak for itself. And yet, it's still not my favorite game. My favorite game is another Valve game. It was one of the first Valve games I played, besides Portal. I played Portal, I think, first. This was Half-Life 2 for the PC. I'm kind of a big PC gamer. Half-Life 2 was, well, first off, you're a silent protagonist, which I love. A lot of games that have silent protagonists I usually go for. Not Halo, Pokemon Red, Half-Life 2. Coughing a lot today. Need some water later. But this is a game, it's set in a futuristic, like, dystopia, I want to say. But you're a silent protagonist who's like an MIT graduate, every nerd's dream, computer nerd at least, which I am one. You're very cool. You never speak. You just get the job done, and yet it's like it's the same sense that Left 4 Dead had cutscenes, where cutscenes happen in gameplay. You can move around in them. It just makes the people's faces track you. But it's still like you're a silent protagonist, and yet story and character development was still getting done. And sometimes it'd be like a one-sided conversation, like someone's talking to you and you don't even say anything, and yet it's still like a good scene. And also, like, romances are hard to pull off. I know this is gay. Gay thing to say. Romances are hard to pull off in like any media, in movies, in like in books. Well, books not so much. Books, they have a much more bigger advantage. But movies and video games, it's really hard to make a romance seem realistic. And this might be one of the best romances I've seen. I mean, I haven't played it in a bit. Maybe I'm missing something, but I just got that sort of vibe. I know it's a silly thing to say, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked the character development. Pretty much everything made sense. There were moments where it's like, okay, this is actually touching, and it's what else can you say? It's just a great game. Now, this isn't one I could presume to be the best games. This is just my favorite games. I really like playing these. I've given you my reasons. I'd love to hear some of your favorite games, but let's talk about consoles for a moment. I've got a couple of consoles to talk about. I would talk about the PS2, but Cooper's already did that, and I think he did some pretty good justice. First console I want to talk about, however, the Dreamcast, which I consider the best console made. I would give you some reasons, but you wouldn't listen. You kids and your newfangled stuff. New and fangled. The Dreamcast was a great game, and I'm kind of a hypocrite for saying this since I only have very few amounts of games for it. But that's because they're really hard to find. In a bit, I'm going to be coming across Sonic Adventure, one of the best Sonic games ever made, for the Dreamcast. I've got Jet Grind Radio, a game about roller skating, hardcore music, and graffiti tagging for the Dreamcast. A lot of fun. I'd really like to get Choo Choo Rocket, which is kind of a puzzle game about ushering mice around. I've got Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. That game's pretty fun. I haven't gotten too far in it, because I've been playing some other stuff, but it was still a lot of fun. I'd like to get Shenmue. All these. It has this great library. Power Stone, the original, like some of the original Resident Evils, the original Soul Caliburs. That's where those started. And I'm really not taking enough justice by stammering on like this, but it's a great system. It came out like 11 years ago. If you disagree with me, just give it a chance. It's a great system. Next I want to talk about another system that I don't have a lot of games for, so I'm kind of a hypocrite. The Super Nintendo. There are so many games on the Super Nintendo, and even good games too. I mean, there's a lot of bad games, but that's going to be the same for any system. But a lot of games that seem to define a genre, even today when pitted against more modern ones, a lot of those happen to be on the Super Nintendo. And it's just got this great library. I've only got about 6 games, but the games that I do have are all very good. Mega Man X, Street Fighter 2, Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World, can't remember the others. I'd really like to get Earthbound and Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger, because of how expensive it is, I might just get it for the DS if it's the same thing. I think it is. But Earthbound, there's really no getting around that. I could get a ROM, but this is one of those moments where I really want to just own this game. I really want to. But that's Super Nintendo. Great game system. I love it. I play it a lot more than you think. My last game system I want to talk about is the PC. I'm a big PC gaming nerd. I play a lot on Steam, especially since the holiday sale came out. I've been buying packs and other stuff. I got KOTOR, I got Mirror's Edge, I beat Mirror's Edge. I wondered why I got Mirror's Edge. I got like these indie future packs. I've got PB Winter Bottom, Super Meat Boy, Left 4 Dead, a lot of Valve games, Counter-Strike. PC is where it's at. PC is the only game system I like to play first-person shooters on. Except Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront on the PS2. I think I'd be better at the PS2 version than on the PC version. I don't know why. If you could just shoot while jumping. But I just feel like you can turn more realistically on the PC. Like if I want to whip around, I do it more quickly and more seemingly realistic on the PC than just turning the analog stick and sometimes waiting for a slow character. But a lot of multiplayer games are on there, and only until about recently did other consoles start realizing, oh, people, when we make a really good multiplayer game, people want to be able to play with just more than 2 people. Let's start getting things online, and sometimes it's even still not that good. Like some games are just specifically based to be multiplayer games. I don't think that's such a great idea. I think it should be able to be single player and multiplayer and be able to survive on its own in either category. I think that's about it, though. Those are my top 10 favorite games, my favorite consoles to play them on. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear some of your feedback of what games you'd like to play. Catch you later.